Sorry, just toss another log on there. Hello, welcome to Bore Interesting, the place where I try to bore you to sleep with information that you may or may not find interesting. Today's topic, water. It is way more interesting than I thought. It's everywhere. It is us. It's the world. It basically runs through the entire planet Earth. It's scientifically ridiculous. Water acts like it forgot the laws of physics even exist. It behaves like it's improvising half the time. Like it has its own rules. Water is the only substance that can be boiling on one side and freezing on the other. And we just say, well, that's water. It's going to do what it's going to do. So let's look at some of those anomalies, those mysteries, those myths, the science behind it. Experiments, some you won't believe. Strange behavior, this water, I tell ya. It's the weirdest liquid. Water is strange from the very first molecule. It shouldn't behave the way it does. Hydrogen and oxygen are not very special in and of themselves. But when they combine those two hydrogens, that oxygen, they stick together and something weird happens. It's like you put together a couple of boring people and they start a rock band and they're dropping Billboard #1 hits from day one. They're voted for president of the world. There's nothing that this thing doesn't do that amazes and essentially organizes and runs the whole planet. Probably other planets. I mean, life on other planets, as far as we know, requires these two elements. Whether or not they're lucky enough to have them, that's different. So let's look at some of its personality quirks. Water expands when it freezes. That's the opposite of everything else. But this is why ice floats. I'm solid now. Let me float. Huh? But it has to be that way. If ice sank, oceans would freeze from the bottom up, and this planet would be in a giant ice ball with none of us. Say goodbye to all your dolphin buddies. Fish, in lakes, that freeze, they get like a roof of ice instead of freezing to death in the winter because of water, and it's weirdness. Water should boil at minus 90 degrees. But for mysterious reasons, it boils at plus 100 degrees. Its molecular bonds are so strong that it's completely not misunderstood, but rather ununderstood. We still don't know why. Water can become super cooled. And, I already think it's pretty cool, but, whatever, even more so. But super cool in science means it can remain liquid below freezing temperatures until it's disturbed and then instantly crystallizes like it's been waiting for its moment to shine. More on crystals later. This supercooling with this remaining liquid below freezing is called phase transition. There's more anomalies to the substance of water than it's any other substance known in science. The density of water is strange. It's densest at 4 degrees Celsius, not at freezing or boiling. And like I said before, this is something fish say thank you every winter for. It even compresses weird. If you squeeze water, it expands. Try that with anything else, see what happens. Its heat capacity is strange. Water absorbs more heat than almost any other liquid. It holds onto energy like it's saving it for something. It's got a mind of its own, These phenomena can be described mathematically by scientists, but they don't understand truly why it's like this. Our bodies are almost fully made up of water, but not in a static way. Water moves through us constantly. Every cell holds structured water. Every thought involves electrical signals traveling through water-rich tissue. Every emotion alters your hydration level. Your blood is basically salty water with red stuff inside of it. We're constantly losing water. Each day we lose 1 to 2 liters through breathing. But it's okay, you can keep breathing. 1/2 liter through evaporation. I guess that means sweating. We also lose water through speaking. Some people more than others. Maybe, swallow your food first before yapping. If you sit, near an air conditioner, that's stealing more of your moisture, That stuff's not so good for you, those machines. Yet, all of this is handled automatically with our bodies. But this water, it's not just in us. It doesn't just sit there in us. It moves, shifting, circulating, carrying electrical signals. Now, This next topic is one of my favorites. And I would say it suggests, but the studies, the experiments more than suggest that water, particularly in ice crystal form, actually responds to human thought. It can feel our thoughts and our emotions and our intention, according to Dr. Masaru Emoto of Japan. Funny, his name is Emoto because this is very Emoto to learn. So, what did he do? He believed that water reacts to emotion, and water forms crystals based on mental states, whether they are positive intention or negative intention. A positive creates symmetry, like you see on beautiful snowflakes. A negative creates chaos, like the brown slush you see on the side of the road in November through March, if you live in places with a bunch of snow. He took samples of frozen ice and he put words, music, spoken intention, and emotions, and he projected them in various ways upon these crystals. He would photograph the ice crystals under high magnification. Crystals or frozen sheets that were emitted with love produce delicate symmetrical crystals. Those surrounded by hatred, angry words, were like broken glass, jagged and asymmetrical. The water, the ice I should say, responded positively to classical music, making elegant like crystals, flake, snowflake looking things, but it didn't like heavy metal. These images that he published became iconic, but humans, as we do, criticized and had some pushback. Scientists, aka haters in this case, said there was a lack of blind studies, there was possible photographer bias, a selection of pretty samples was unfairly selected perhaps, inconsistent control groups, and sure, maybe they were right, maybe there were flaws in this research, but why you gotta hate, man? But it was replicated by independent laboratories. They used stricter controls. They've tried to repeat the tests that Emoto did. They weren't always the same, perhaps not as dramatic, definitely not identical to his results. But several studies found statistically significant differences between ice exposed to positive intention and ice exposed to neutral or negative conditions. The differences weren't as artistic as Emoto's photos, but they were real enough to keep researchers curious. But why? Why might ice respond to thoughts? thoughts emit measurable electromagnetic fields. Brainwaves travel outside the skull weakly, but they can measure this, which is crazy to think about. I mean, it's almost like an anime cartoon where somebody's angry and they're like shooting bolts out of their head. I guess we actually kind of do that, which is food for thought if you're, angry on a busy subway in rush hour, holding a handrail next to somebody that didn't put underarm deodorant down or whatever, that can make a guy grumpy. Water itself, getting back on track here, is extremely sensitive, Mother Earth. Water molecules rearrange themselves in trillionths of a second. I can't even fathom what a trillionth of a second is. But water reacts to so many things: light, sound, magnetism, electric fields, gravity waves, vibrations, pressure, temperature, even molecular proximity. It's a fickle beast. Water, if you're listening, I didn't mean to call you a beast. Couldn't think of anything better to say. Ice formation is delicate. The tiniest energetic nudge can alter the shape of a crystal. Which is amazing to think that these crystals and snowflakes are forming in the clouds. I mean, there's got to be a lot of nudges up there from the wind, but maybe those are nice nudges. Sky nudges, There are quantum effects to this stuff. If you want to get a little, put the spectacles on. Let's talk about quantum effects. Some speculate that intention could alter quantum level behavior. Ice crystallization is quantum sensitive. That, I believe it. You can't not believe. The more you learn, the more you just say like, yeah, well, it's water. What do I know? The thing is different than everything, and it's the reason we're alive here. So, some supernatural stuff. And it's said, this water can remember things, which is a controversial theory, but it's said, it's been studied, that water forms clusters, and water molecules don't just float around randomly. They create these clusters that can actually store patterns, respond to stimuli, reorganize quickly, shift based on energy input. Go put some water in a microwave and it won't be the same after. If it's true, I always remember never put plain distilled water alone in a microwave because it can explode. I never tried it. I believe the hype. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe don't do that. Some researchers believe water can hold on to these patterns briefly, and they consider that a short-term structural memory. So our cells use structured water. Are they remembering things? Inside each cell, water forms layers on surfaces that help proteins function. So some scientists compare this to a biological circuit board. Is water remembering, reacting, organizing? We don't really know, but it's still fascinating. I mean, not just now with all this fancy equipment we have and labs and university huge rooms with machines, but ancient civilizations were already appreciating the sacredness of water. It's been treated as conscious for thousands of years across many cultures. Hindus in the river Ganges considered alive and spiritually cleansing when they go into it. The Shinto in Japanese say water is used to purify the mind and spirit. Some Navajo believe springs and lakes are considered gateways to ancestral wisdom. In Christianity and Islam, water is a symbol of life, rebirth, and purity. Tibetans use water in sacred bowls that help with meditation and intention setting. So even cultures that don't intermix generally have come to the same conclusion. That water listens, remembers, responds. Perhaps some of this is metaphorical, not literal, but such things can be said. Water is extremely plentiful on Earth, as we know. But there is water in the universe, not just here. Water vapor clouds, frozen oceans, icy moons, comets full of ancient water. Entire planets likely covered in liquid oceans. Maybe there's another humanity-like alien species out there. They just don't want to come visit. Or maybe they're here already and they're in room 605 down the hall. Who knows? I've seen some people that I thought were aliens. I mean, the guy was like see-through with a briefcase and a trench coat. It's like Minions or something. Anyway. There are distant clouds near a black hole that contain enough water to fill Earth's oceans 140 trillion times. Uh, 140 trillion times bigger. It's hard to even get used to some of these figures sometimes in the universe. But space is weird. And water seems to be everywhere. Did you know ice isn't just frozen water? It has exotic forms. Scientists have discovered ice 2, ice 3, ice 5, ice 6. Not sure what happened with ice 4. Not his best album. There's up to 20 types of ice, depending on pressure and temperature. Can you believe that some of those ices are denser than steel? Some are glass-like, stretchy, superionic. Bet you didn't know that word. Half ice, half plasma. Superionic. Use that word in your next Thursday night Scrabble game. There's even black ice inside planets like Neptune that behave like conductors. And it's like the frozen form of water can be practically alien at times. What about water that's deep in the ocean that hasn't been explored much? We probably know less about that than all those gajillion galaxies we stare at with telescopes. Water actually hides. There are underwater rivers. There are lakes at the bottom of the sea. You understand me? Methane pools, underwater lightning, giant brine waterfalls, bioluminescent creatures. It makes sounds no one can explain. They called a powerful sound by water, recorded in 1997, a bloop. I don't know who came up with that. It's so powerful, it's louder than any known animal sound. Some researchers think water may play a role in consciousness itself, like a quantum conductor. Neurons fire in watery environments that support quantum coherence. They think water can be an information carrier. Biological water structures might help store short-term patterns. Emotions literally alter the water in your bloodstream. But that makes sense if you think that we are made up of this molecule that is as crazy as everything I've just been talking about. So your thoughts, energies, beliefs, your fatigue, your energy, the food, everything is connecting to this water. So the water in you is the same as your being, your thoughts, your emotions. And it's altering it. Did you know your heart emits a surprisingly large EM field, electromagnetic field, that interacts with water-rich tissues? They think anyways. These things are sometimes hard to definitively prove. But water has spiritual sides. And even if you're not spiritual, there's something soothing about water rituals. Sound baths, cold plunges, hot springs, sacred springs, cryotherapy. I always thought that how much do you need to cryo? Crying is, it's already got a lot of therapy. It's got its own section of psychology. You don't need cryotherapy now. Come on, guys. There's waterfall meditation. That sounds nice. Ocean breathing exercises. Humans are seeking water all the time when they need healing or clarity. It's instinctive. Did you know your brain floats in water, protecting it from impact? Birds can drink seawater. They have desalination glands. Not sure I really envy that. Anyways, good for you, birds, but it's not for me. There's enough water in the mantle of the earth to fill the oceans 3 times. Water in the mantle of the earth, come on. What's living down there? The deepest part of the ocean has pressure strong enough to crush steel. Wow. Don't go down there, steel, you're going to get crushed. A cloud can weigh 1.1 million pounds and still float like it's no big deal. I mean, what are we talking about here? Some jellyfish are basically water with eyebrows. Just kidding. But I mean, if you really are thinking about this before you go to sleep, just imagine water. It's everywhere. Inside you, around you, above you, below you, falling from the sky, carving the earth, stretching around the universe, apparently crushing steel. It's humble, it's mysterious, it's simple, it's an H, an O, and an H, sometimes drawn like a Mickey Mouse. For us, it's familiar, but it's strange enough to keep scientists arguing for centuries. Good. Keep those guys yapping at each other. You know, water can listen, it can remember, it can respond. You know, quite simply, it's just the most beautifully complex liquid we've ever met. Connecting everything. Did you know hot water freezes faster than cold water? A young chap making popsicles in Africa discovered this. They named the effect after him. Mpemba effect. Scientists, like usual, still argue about why. Did you know there's a lake under Antarctica that hasn't seen sunlight in 15 million years? Who turned out the lights? Why did it see light 15 million plus 1 years ago? I don't know. Sound moves 4 times faster in water than in air. That's how whales can communicate across the whole ocean, you know? I'm sure sound waves feel really good in water. Fast. Your body makes its own water, And through metabolism, you create about a cup per day. Put that in your soup. Did you know there's water vapor on the sun near sunspots? It's extremely brief, but somehow they can measure this. Must just explode into its components, its elements. How does it even get there? I don't know. If you could remove all the salt from the ocean, it would cover the entire Earth in a 500-foot level of sea salt. It would be like a giant salt donut. Earth is the only known planet with liquid water on the surface. But some planets have water inside. Just like we do. The water inside your body is older than the sun. Sit on that info. Water molecules, most of them formed in interstellar space before our solar system even existed. Boiling water in space makes floating bubbles that never rise because there's no buoyancy without gravity. One billion people drink water from unimproved sources every day, like rivers, puddles, unsafe wells. That's not fair. Did you know water is magnetic? Just a little bit. It's diamagnetic, slightly repelled by magnetism. Water conducts electricity only because of impurities. Pure H2O does not conduct at all. Well, how about that? Water can form snowballs inside deep oceans. They're called brinicles, like underwater icicles. And they can trap starfish and sea life. I'm sure there's some fishies swimming around that collecting easy food. Did you know you can boil water at room temperature? Just lower the pressure and it will boil instantly. That's called a pressure cooker, I guess. There's a little bit of water on Mars, but it's extremely salty and cold, more like brine. I've made soup like that. On average, a household will leak 10,000 gallons per year. That's like 300 loads of laundry. Scientists think the first water on Earth came from comets and asteroids. Tell that to the dinosaurs. There's something called diamond rain on Neptune and on Uranus. Hi-ho! It's formed in oceans of ionic water deep inside of them. Ionic water. Good name for a brand. Jellyfish are 95% water. Not joking this time. They'll basically evaporate if you scoop them out. Between Greenland and Iceland, one of which is less green than the other, one of which is more icy. There's a massive underwater waterfall. Can you believe this stuff? It's 350 times bigger than Niagara Falls. Did you know when lightning strikes, it creates ozone that dissolves into rainwater? It's that after rain smell you sometimes notice. Fog is technically floating water you can walk through. That's nice. Water can exist as liquid, solid, and gas simultaneously. They call this the triple point. Nothing else can do that. Humans can survive longer without food than without sleep because of water. It's mostly water that you need more than food. If you stop sleeping, your body loses too much water to regulate itself. There's another hidden ocean under Europa's ice, and it may contain life. It's kept warm by tidal forces. Gotta appreciate those special forces. Thank you for your service. The average cloud, not the big 1.1 million pounder, but the average, 660,000 pounds. Did you know water has the highest surface tension of any liquid, except, can you guess it? Mercury. That's why some insects can walk on water. Plus Jesus. The deepest part of the ocean has pressure equal to 50 jumbo jets stacked on top of you. Pancake. Water can crawl up surfaces. That's capillary action. It's how tall trees and plants and whatever else gets their thirst satisfied. Gravity-defying mechanism, you know? Capillaries. Cold water is actually heavier than warm water. Unless it becomes ice, then it flips. You give, you take. There are lakes inside caves that have never been touched by sunlight. But our water is crystal clear and very calm. Saltwater crocodiles can drink both fresh and salt water. They got special glands to remove the salt. I wonder which ones they prefer. Maybe that ionic water. A teaspoon of water contains about 2 sextillion molecules. Sextillion. A sextillion is 21 zeros. And they can do 2 sextillions. That's a lot of molecules. Did you know rainbows require sunlight and perfectly sized water droplets? Too big or too small and they vanish. You gotta catch the rainbow before it's gone. Hot water pipes freeze before the cold ones. That's due to increased convection currents. And maybe that Mpemba phenomenon the African boy figured out. Scientists still debate, as they do, which is the longest river, the Amazon or the Nile. But if it's denial, you might need to seek some therapies. The reason they can't agree is because it's hard to measure the start and the stop. The Dead Sea is so salty, you can float effortlessly. It's 34% salt, 10 times more than the ocean. You probably knew this, you've seen the pictures. Everyone thinks they're hilarious. Hey Ma, look at me, I'm floating. The ocean is 90% Earth's water, but 0.5% of that is drinkable fresh water. Maybe, unless you're an alligator. Did you know dolphins have to consciously decide to sleep or they drown? They sleep half their brain at a time. I think some whales do that too. It's another more interesting. Every snowflake is 95% air, but each one starts as a speck surrounded by water vapor. Did you know some Antarctic lakes are permanently covered by ice but still liquid underneath? Probably fish in there. Deep ocean waves exist that are taller than skyscrapers. Internal waves beneath the surface, invisible from above. Try surfing that. Here's something funny. Rivers can flow backwards. The Mississippi even did that after an earthquake. There is a cloud in space that rains boiling alcohol, whatever that means. About 80% of volcanic eruptions happen underwater. And water is the only substance that gets lighter as it freezes. If all of the Earth's water were a 1-gallon jug, humans would have access to just about 1 tablespoon of it. That's not a lot. Well, what can be said about this HOH, H2O? No. What you gonna do about it? Thank you for joining. Hope you're tired. Hope you're sleepy. Even better, I hope you're sleeping. If so, have a good night.